Well, hello and happy new year. It is 2020. I am currently 13 hours and 40 minutes into 2020. So yeah, the New Year celebrations are quite old here. At the time of recording, it's just gone Happy New Year in the UK. So America falling slightly behind, but you'll get there, Americans, don't worry. This is going to be another vlog, another Q&A session. But the difference this time is this video will be going live to everybody sometime down the line, probably a week after you've seen this, as the HubNut channel members and the Patreons, or patrons rather, on Patreon. I will make it live for everyone to see, but only you lot get to ask the questions, the members and the patrons. So you can sign up at patreon.com/hubnut if you want to go that route, or channel memberships you can do on YouTube by looking for the join button beneath my videos or on my channel if you go to youtube.com/hubnut. You won't be able to access that option on iOS. It just seems Apple incompatible, or on a telly. So sorry, I don't design that. That's YouTube. I'm going to start with the patrons because there aren't very many patrons, but in comparative terms, and there aren't so many questions. So I'm going to try and skip through some because some are quite lengthy, but I will try and answer everything I can. One person, David Barrett, asks whether I've called ahead to some places I've visited to request access as a member of the media. Yes, I have done that. That was one reason I had to kind of rush the Invercargill visit, because I had to tear down to the Bill Richardson Transport World so I could get a bit of a guided tour by the media staff and then do my video, and they didn't charge me for that. So bigger museums tend to sort of understand the situation, and that's fine. Smaller museums I tend to pay anyway, because I often quite want to help them. Some of them are not exactly flushed with cash, so a bit of a mixture. It depends on the museum. I don't ask for a freebie. If they offer it, I take it, and I think that's fair enough. He's suggesting a HubNut social in Melbourne. Yeah, I would like to do that. I think I'll just try and get my head or maybe my body into Melbourne, and we'll see what we can arrange. But he suggests a Sunday morning at the northern end of Lygon Street. Apparently there's lots of free parking and the coffee's superb at the El Mirage Cafe. So that's what David reckons. That sounds like a decent plan. So yeah, I'll try and pick a Sunday and we'll make that happen. Max Ferreira asks, what car has the worst triangle of doom? I think that's a direct battle between the City Rover and the Citroen Berlingo. They have huge triangles of doom. Although Land Rovers, especially once a bit of spindle wear sets in, they can leave a bit of a chunk at the middle of the windscreen, not wiped. Defender type windscreens can do that, so that's also not good. Tony Sander, how's the Australian itinerary shaping up? It really isn't. Because of the situation in Australia, where there's so many fires at the moment, I don't feel I can really plan anything. I think my original plan was to land in Sydney, spend some time there, and then drive down to Melbourne. I think what I'm actually going to do is spend an amount of time in Sydney, and that will depend on what's going on with the fires. Obviously, it's not affecting the city itself. It's all the surrounding, the Blue Mountains I really wanted to go and see, but it's a bit silly to go and explore mountains that are on fire. It's an actually dangerous situation. So although it would make for some impressive video, I'm not going to go there. So if Sydney's bad, then I'll go straight down to Melbourne. And I also want to go to Tasmania, and I understand even Tasmania's on fire. What the heck is going on in Australia? Yeah, I can't say more than that. I just don't know. 20th of January is when I land in Sydney, and then I fly out again on the 10th of March. So I will be somewhere in Australia between those two dates. There you go. How does that do? Oh, sorry. Max Ferreira said, what car has the finest wipers of all? Ooh, that's a really, really tricky one to answer. I mean, I quite like Triumph Stag, the Lexus LS400. We got a nice bit of pantograph wiper action going on. I do like that, but then I quite like triple wipers as well. So a bit conflicted. I don't think I've got a favourite. Hugh Davis asks how the current situation in New South Wales will affect my visit. Well, I don't know yet. Will I be visiting Puffing Billy? Yeah, I probably should. Have you thought of going somewhere else rather than Eastern Australia? It's a bit too late. I haven't got the time to explore. This is Chris Berry asking this question. I haven't got time to do anything else. I've already got flights booked from here to Sydney. I haven't got anything booked after that. So, and he also suggests going to Japan. I'm not going to do it on this trip because my brain will not be able to cope with it. But Japan is definitely on the list of places I would like to visit, along with America, some of the Baltic states as well. I'd like to visit. I'd like to go to Scandinavia again, as well as generally all around Europe. Yeah, lots of places. Maybe South America one day. Who knows? Cuba, etc. Lots to see. Right, that's Patreon done. Unfortunately, there are 63 questions on the YouTube channel asked by members of the channel. And let's see what's going on. When you get home, you miss the travelling. Will you do another long trip? Well, yeah, I think I've just answered that. That's Andrew Bergin who asked that question. I will quite likely do another trip. I'm not one for sitting at home. There is too much of this world to see. Life is short. I want to see the world. Paul Plaskwa, or Plaskva? Oh, he's just saying Happy New Year and some nice things. Thank you. Paul. Shredder Chris also yeah, saying, are you easing off the video production? A little. I am forcing myself to take rest, and it absolutely pains me sitting here. I've got videos stacked up on this laptop, and I shot 3 new videos the other day, in fact. But I'm forcing myself to just sit back and relax, and it has been going fairly well, I think. Chris Weddle asks, are there any Sunbeam Rapier fastbacks in New Zealand? I haven't seen any yet. They locally assembled the Hunter, which these type of rapiers are based on. I think I've seen the previous generation rapier as well, the one based loosely on the Hillman Minx. But no, I haven't seen any of the fastback ones. Would love to do a video on one of those if you have one. Doesn't have to be a H120. This is HubNut. I'd even go for the Alpine, which was the poverty spec version. Just pillarless coupe on a Hillman Hunter platform. Hillman Hunter estate platform, no less. Sounds good to me. Emil Perlman says, suggestion for New Year's resolution, look after yourself. Yep, fair enough. Happy New Year, Happy New Year. I should have scrolled through these and I could have just taken out all the Happy New Year ones. These aren't actual questions. Paul Scimitar asks, what's your favourite car and place you have come across in New Zealand so far? Oh, I hate favourites. It's really difficult to pick one because the Daihatsu Fellow Max was absolutely hilarious, and that was definitely one of my favourite cars of this trip. Go and look at that video if you haven't already. The Ford Model Railcar, Model T Railcar rather, that was brilliant, and that's a hugely popular video. That's got so many views. There's over 120,000 views at the time of recording. Astonishing, but again, wonderful. Our favourite place. Place is difficult because it's the variety that makes this. I'm quite liking Wellington because it's a big city. It's the capital city. Well, everyone seems to think it's Auckland. Auckland is far busier, too busy. Like twice the population up in Auckland compared to Wellington. Wellington's nice. There's things to do, and you can kind of walk around it quite easily. Had a really nice New Year down in Wellington last night, which was nice. Philip Evans also asking about the itinerary for Australia. Yeah, I don't know, I'm afraid. Saint Funny, when you get back to Blighty, do you think you'll head back to Wales and maybe try somewhere else? Well, as I admitted in a previous video, I have a girlfriend now. She lives in Wales, so Wales it certainly is, and that's where all my cars are, so Wales will definitely be my base for the foreseeable, I should think. Does your friend want to sell his Fuego? Haha, nice try. No, I shouldn't think. MG Bets 1, the first of that clan. Happy New Year, Mr. HubNut. What are your plans for the Tercel? Bodywork is very expensive, so I feel crowdfunding is justifiable. Yeah, I've actually had a couple of offers, a few offers of people to do bodywork. So I will be looking into that once I'm back, once I've got settled in a bit more. And yeah, I'm very aware that once we start picking at that car, we might find some real horrors. So while I harbour a dream of taking it to Japan Classic Sunday in July, in Hermet in the Netherlands. I am realistic enough to think that that might not happen this year. Maybe it'll be next year. We'll see. But yeah, I'm planning to go to Japan Classic Sunday again. It's a great event. McCarthy one asks, do I have a New Year's resolution? I don't really go in for that sort of thing. Just make the most of any given situation. Seems good enough. Barry Davis asks whether it's wise to postpone the Australia trip. There's enough of Australia that isn't on fire that it will be okay, but I'm going to have to watch my movements and play it by ear and keep an eye on things, so don't worry, it'll be fine. Looking forward to the Oz Motors, says Giddy Two Shoes. Robert N. Green 6. I hadn't realised there were so many Robert N. Greens, but there you go. 2 questions. Ooh, cheeky. Which of your fleet are you most looking forward to driving when you're reunited with them all? Again, I don't like to pick favourites, but the 2CV is the car I definitely cannot live without the 2CV. So I'm looking forward to driving Ellie again very much. And to be honest, I think she'll probably be the first one out and back on the road, MOT permitting. And what's your favourite vehicle driven in New Zealand? His favourite was the Mayflower. The Mayflower was very, very charming. But yeah, that Daihatsu Fellow Max was amazing. And I've since driven a Holden as well. So you can look forward to that one. I must also obviously pay tribute to Betty the Ford Fairmont as well, because I've now done, I'm getting on for 6,000 kilometres in Betty, and yeah, she's been very pleasant, so that's good. Martin Watson, question on cameras: what are the best and worst you've used, and which one is the one you fall back on if all else fails? Well, at the moment I'm recording this on my DJI Osmo action camera. There's my phone. This battered old relic is my Samsung Galaxy S7. This has taken some punishment. I've almost owned it for a year, and it's had a hard life. It really has had a very tough life, and most of my videos this year were recorded on that. Previously it was the Oppo F1S smartphone, but I've reached a limit of smartphones because smartphones are so wide, so when you put them in an in-car holder they shake around. Whereas this has built-in stabilization, so even if I pick you up and move you around, it should keep it fairly smooth. So that's really improving my footage, I think. I certainly feel less sick in the edit suite. Doesn't like it in the dark. It can get a bit jumpy, a bit choppy. But now I've got a decent mic. This is a Rode external microphone. Interestingly designed and developed in Australia. I had no idea. So maybe I'll buy some more while I'm over there. So yeah, I think my current setup is the best that's working for me. I've still got the Canon M50 proper little, I think it's a little mirrorless compact camera at home, but which is good because you can put filters on. I used that for the Marina video. That was the first outing for that, and it has advantages and works well, but it's a bit cumbersome. Whereas the action camera I can just keep in my pocket. It's easy to turn on when I'm driving along. It's all good. So yeah, very happy with the DJI Osmo action camera. The sound quality isn't brilliant, even with the little adapter I'm using so I can speak to you on this. So that's a little disappointing. But overall, I think it's really improving things. So that's good. Righty, are you still going to Australia? I think I've covered that. Lots of all the best. Oh, thank you, people. These are nice. Lord HubNut asks, oh, it's Paul Plaskva again. I have recently seen footage of the cars driven by the New Zealand dignitaries. Have you seen any on your travels? No, I don't think I have. Ford Crown. No. Ohio Hillbilly asks whether I've gotten used to my turds going the wrong way around when you flush. Well, there's 2 problems there. One, I'm not really one for watching turds flushing. I mean, obviously you check they have actually gone, but I'm not one for staring in fascination, as Ohio Hillbilly apparently is. 2, the water doesn't really go around. It's just sort of and gone, and the sink is the same. There is a myth that water goes the opposite way around because we're on the other side of the world and things are spinning in different ways. But I think that's been busted. I think Richard Hammond did a show on Sky that busted that. It depends purely on the design of the sink, nothing more. So there you go. Mark Davis, what plans do you have for Tuck this year? I was thinking that I really would like to get her engine out and give it a proper going over, because that's the spares engine that she's running at the moment, which was off the road even longer than Tuck herself was. I don't think that engine's in prime health. There's oil leaking in various places. I suspect the compression is down a bit, and yeah, I would like to give that engine a proper going over. Whether I can achieve that, I don't know, because the situation back home where I'm going to be living, etc., is all a bit unknown. I don't really know, but that's what I would like to do. And unfortunately, I'm also thinking I'm getting a little fed up of driving that car distance, because it is so astonishingly loud and dangerous, because she does get blown all over the road. So I'm pondering some sort of transportation device for poor little Tuck, and then she can just have a good razz around at the end when we get there. Because I harbour a very strange dream to take her to Europe, but I just don't want to drive her there. Aircrash Tupolov asks, how in the hell did you convince, cajole, threaten, stamp your feet or whatever to get a drive in the Cadillac DeVille? Well, Kiwis are nice people, and the owner of that car, it featured in a video where I visited a private collection and we had a look at it, and I went, oh wow, this car's amazing. And the owner, Stevie, wasn't there at that day, so it wasn't possible to do anything, but he was very keen for me to come and have a look at some of his other cars, and I did. I didn't video all of them. One of them is a Holden Senator 300, a very formidable bit of kit, but we only had a look at that. There just wasn't time to take that for a drive, and I kind of got my heart set on the Caddy because it just looked so amazing. I wanted to drive it, and he was more than happy for me to have a drive, because it was a bit unplanned. We just did it after work one evening. Yeah, it wasn't the most scripted. I didn't have many facts. I don't know an awful lot about American cars, which is going to make my visit to America when it happens fun. I'll have to do a lot of boning up. I'll find myself a local expert in America, maybe, who actually knows what the hell's going on.
Wipe the switch. I like having the furthest one.
Yeah, you turn it.
Oh, look at that. Sorry, slightly wiper obsessed.
Philip Green says, I have recently acquired a Peugeot Ion. Would you consider this a HubNut car? I'm thinking the single pantograph wiper with onboard washers might swing it. Well, yes, that's certainly an interest. The Peugeot Ion is a badge engineered Mitsubishi i-MiEV. They took the Mitsubishi i City car, which had a little 3-cylinder 660cc engine, and turned it into an electric car. Not a bad one, but the range is not great on them, like 50 to 80 miles, and if you use the heater in the winter, even less than that. I really like them. I would very much like to drive one, Philip, so depending on where you are, I would possibly be quite interested in that when I get back. But yeah, they're one of those, pioneering electric cars, which means they're not brilliant, but for a lot of people, they're very usable. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it, Philip. Drop me an email, ian@hubnut.org, if you could, Philip, and yeah, that'd be fun. What's your plan regarding the fleet? Are you going to sell one or two? No plans to sell, no plans to acquire. I just want to sort out what I've got. This is John Whelan, sorry, I'm not very good at doing the names. Would love to see Foxanne running properly. Yes, so would I. That's got to be a major achievement. I got Foxanne on the road, it was all a bit rushed. And then obviously it's been a fairly chaotic year, so I've not had a chance to do anything with her. The exhaust's blowing really badly. I get some bad steering shakes. I think the bushes, you've got little triangular support arms at the front. I think I need to go through the suspension bushes, possibly change the dampers all round, or just put a load of weight in the back, because then she rides quite well. I need to do a lot to make Foxanne much nicer to drive, because she should be an ideal little runabout, but at the moment she really isn't. So yeah, work to be done. Julian Knight, have you ever driven a V12? Yes. I'm trying to think what V12s I've driven. XJS, I think I've driven, no, just the one XJS. That was a long time ago. I just remember being blown away at how smooth and quickly it accelerated with seemingly no effort. And I've driven a Series 3 modified V12. And a Series 3 E-types. I've driven a couple of those, one bone stock, really boring. Doesn't make nice noises at all. And one that had got a Hayward and Scott exhaust system and mega squirt fuel injection. And oh my gosh, the noise that car made, it was absolutely astonishing. That car briefly features in the video when I swapped well, I didn't swap, but I sold the Rover 45 and bought the Skoda. And on that trip I was also working, so I drove Series 3 V12, and oh, the noise was just magical, absolutely sublime. So yes, I have driven a V12. Jerry Dudebad, have you got an unexpected dog in the face while wrenching on your car in New Zealand and still recall what I'm referring to? No, I've apparently forgotten what that is, but no one wants a dog in the face. Out of all the Jap cars you've road tested, says yes, it really is me, which one would you now own? Japanese cars. I do have a bit of a soft spot for Nissan 300ZX Z32s, although the level of power they have is just astonishing. It's ridiculous. It's completely unnecessary. But yeah, one of those maybe, or Lexus LS400 that hasn't got shagged rear suspension might be quite nice. Ohio Pete S2K. Even though you're not a huge fan of sports cars, which one would you daily drive if you had to? Such as a Miata or a 914. So Miata or Unos or MX-5, yeah, very, very dailyable cars. Or Porsche 914. Funnily enough, there is one just behind me. Sadly, it's in pieces. But I've always been slightly intrigued by the 914. Never driven one. Would quite like to. But generally, Porsches don't tend to be all that user-friendly for working on. So, I mean, a Mazda MX-5 just makes so much sense. But make it a Mark 1 with the pop-up headlamps. Nick2203, I needed to do some prep for this one. Top 5 cars driven in New Zealand that I would like to add to the fleet. Yeah, I can't really choose. There were so many great cars here. That Caddy, the Fellow Max, they make a great pair just in themselves. Neil Beaumont, what 70s to early 90s car would be a HubNut dream machine? Oh, I don't know really. I mean, the 2CV fits that entire time period, and I have one, and I like it very, very much. But which one would actually be the dream machine? I don't know. I've always had a thing for Mark III Vauxhall Cavaliers, or the Senator. Oh yes, a Senator B, I think it is, the one with the cheese cutter grille and tiny little headlamp wipers. I would like one of those, but they've all rusted away. So that makes it a perfect dream car, one that hasn't rusted away. Bicycle Hub says, I often wonder what HubNut is. You, the channel, a way of life, a standard of quality, a state of mind, or all of the above? Yes, all of them. Also enjoyed your interview with the racing guy. That'll be Hayden Padden. Are you planning any more interviews? Yes, I do have a few more people I would actually like to interview in mind. Where I can actually make it happen, we'll wait and see. Nick Thomas, how long do you want to spend in Australia? I'm spending a month and a half there. Would you consider living there? I haven't been there yet, so I don't know. And when are you going? January the 20th. Cole Blimp, the amazing photographer Keith Morris tragically passed away recently. He did. For those who don't know, Keith Morris is a man who single-handedly documented Aberystwyth through his beautiful photos. But sadly, he would often go out and photograph storms, and ultimately that seems to have proved his undoing. He did get caught by a big wave and yeah, tragically passed away. So has Keith's passing changed your outlook on filming? Not really. I don't think I'm a particularly risky filmer anyway. So yeah, I think I'm all right. Mr. Keyboard Commando seems to be thinking that I'm to blame for all the weather and volcanoes and fire. It's nothing to do with me. I'm entirely innocent. Paul Sanders, of all the cars you've had in the past, what's been your favourite? It's got to be the 2CV. It's the only one I've kept for almost 20 years now. It'll be 20 years this summer, anniversary time. David Sparks would love to see me driving the Mad Max car in Australia. Yeah, we'll see if we can find a V8 Interceptor, shall we? I think the chances are probably quite slim, but if you've got one, let me know. James Wallace asks, why did you sell the BX and get Betty? I didn't sell the BX. I never owned the BX. The BX was loaned to me by a friend of mine. I did 2,000 kilometers in it, and then I just thought I needed something a bit more reliable for South Island, where it gets really remote, and I was worried if something breaks. Most garages don't know their way around a Citroen, but most know their way around a Ford Fairmont or Falcon, because it's just Australian, very common here. And sure enough, just after I sold the BX, not sold the BX, gave it back to Stuart, the gear linkage fell apart. Oops. So any regrets selling the BX? Well, I didn't sell it, but you know, I do miss it. It was a nice car. It did really, really well. Tips for staying alert on long drives: loud music, fresh air, and just stop if you feel tired is the good one. I mean, I like to use cruise control, and a lot of people are against cruise control because you're not having to think so much, but I think it actually allows you to concentrate on more. And that's it. We've just got a load of Happy New Year's, and that's that. So we are finished with the questions. So thank you very much for submitting all of those. That was a good number of questions. And yeah, I just want to finish by saying that I still get quite tired doing this. It is extremely hard work because you see the final result, but before I drive a car, I've got to research that car, find out as much as I can, because you can't really research on the fly. And then you've got to shoot it, and while you're shooting it, you're thinking, I've got to find a location to film the start, I've got to find a location to film the end, and the bit in the middle has got to be interesting as well. The Renault Fuego, I never really found the right roads to take that car out, and that's the sort of frustration you're dealing with. And I had a very short time window to film that car, so there wasn't time to go off and find roads. So there's often stresses going on there. And then obviously there's the editing, dealing with comments and everything. This is hard work, and the longer I'm away from the UK, I think the harder it gets. I was kind of expecting, I've spent 2 weeks here in this unit now, and hugely grateful to Ian and Jane for allowing me to stay that long. It's a little self-contained unit, so I can really just, if I feel the need to shut myself off from the world, I can. It's marvellous. So yeah, that's been great. But I thought 2 weeks I'll feel loads better. But A, I'm not very good at stopping working. I've done quite a lot of filming, and it's been 2 days where I've filmed 3 videos in 1 day. And B, yeah, I don't feel as rested as I thought I would, probably because of that very reason. But yeah, I mean, I can't really complain. It's been a marvellous trip. So much to see, different places, different sights and sounds, and yeah, so very enjoyable. But yeah, I'm not making resolutions about 2020 because too much is unknown. I don't know exactly where life is heading, where life is taking me. So I'm just going to keep on following it along and see. Obviously, when I get back home, I'll be able to do more tinkering videos. I'm really looking forward to doing some tinkering videos again, especially with my new little action camera. I think it'll be really helpful and much steadier when I'm working on the cars. So that should be good. If I need to think about lighting. I also need to find somewhere to work, because I don't think my unit is going to be suitable. It's great for storage, but I think if I'm filming there, I think there's going to be too much going on around it, and it won't be good. It'll cause me problems, and it's very echoey in there as well. So we'll see. I'm not sure how that's all going to pan out. But yeah, certainly 2020 is going to be an exciting year. 2019 was just amazing. I can't believe how much I managed to cram into the year. I mean, maybe that's why I ended up feeling quite broken. All the various adventures, so many road trips in the UK, road trips in Europe, road trips around New Zealand. So yeah, it's been utterly remarkable. But I'm going to leave you with some footage from New Year's Eve last night. Well, hello and welcome to the last video of 2019. I'm in Wellington. The party is kicking off. We're in the dying last few hours of 2019. A new decade is about to begin, or is it? People are saying 2020 is actually the last day of the decade, and maybe they have a point. I'm not really sure. But this is the back of the Te Papa Museum, where I went in a previous video, I think, and I'm just easing away from the loud music for copyright reasons more than anything. But I think the first round of entertainment, the kiddie entertainment, has just finished. So there are people sort of milling about all over the place. But yeah, this is Wellington itself, and it's not actually that big. It goes off up the hills there, Mount Victoria, There's a viewpoint up there, which I was wondering about going up, but I'm not sure I can really be bothered. And then you've got the financial district, the main hub of Wellington there. But it's not really a big city at all. I can walk to the cricket ground. I went to watch a cricket match just before Christmas, and that was quite enjoyable. And that is only probably a 10-minute walk away from here, and that kind of is the outer edge of the inner city. So yeah, should be good. Should be a good night. Just waiting for the fireworks to begin. Under 3 hours to wait. It could be a while, but just enjoy the atmosphere for a bit. Bye 2019. Happy New Year! Happy New Year! So that's it. That was 2019. I am now in 2020. I'm trying not to get run over. There's people everywhere. It's just gone midnight here in Wellington. It has been a crazy evening. It's been a crazy year. I had no idea I was going to find myself on the other side of the year celebrating the new year in Wellington. It's been utterly remarkable. I'm now going to find my way back to my car and beat a hasty retreat before things get lively, shall we say. But yeah. Thank you very much for sticking with me, for supporting me, for putting up with me even when I do strange lighting things like this. It has just been such a brilliant adventure. But there you go, that's the end of this message. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're not getting too freaked out by the state of my face. I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Farewell.